Oh boy. Okay. Hello folks, welcome back to my channel. I have a quite overdue cumulative book haul I need to do. This is also fairly going to be a budget book haul because most of these were used or from free libraries. It's a lot. Hold on, wait, how many books did I acquire? So this is a book haul for March and April because my last one was January, February. So yeah, I'll just do these like every other month. And so in the past 2 months I've acquired 30 books, which I know that there's like some larger booktubers out there who acquire, you know, that much per month. They are also sent stuff, which nope, all of these, even if they were free, I still like made a choice to bring them into my life. And now that I'm looking at all of it, I need to try to bring in less. Anyway, okay, let's get into it. Alright, so the first book I acquired, got this from a free library. This is Gone with the Wind. So I have a friend who very much wants me to read this because he wants to talk to me about the phenomena that is like the romantic ideal of the Old South. Like, why do people cling to Confederate history as something to be proud of? And while this is a work of fiction, he's like, this book really explores why. Why are they enamored with something that a lot of us see as just like a racist and kind of shameful history? And like, I acknowledge that like, I'm having grown up in the very liberal West Coast, I am very far removed from that history. So like, I don't know a lot about it. I remember loving the movie as a teenager for the costumes, and kind of just like for the epicness of it, the cinema spectacle. Like, I appreciate it as a work of art. As an adult, I do have, you know, I revisit my thoughts about like racist content. Why am I hesitating to say it like that? I'm revisiting like my ideas on how the racist content is portrayed in that movie. Anyway, this is not a book review, but it's just like, I saw it and I'm like, you know what? I have it on my shelf. That might help me get to it sooner rather than later. I have a couple other nonfiction books that deal with like the same idea of like, why is there a culture of being enamored with this particular piece of history that I kind of want to read in conjunction with this. So anyway, there we go. Okay, next is a new book. This was I featured this in, I think, was it my first reading vlog? I picked up a copy of Lost in the Neverwoods by Aidan Thomas. I really enjoyed Cemetery Boys, and I was very intrigued by Audrey's review at Perpetual Pages. They intrigued me, and I think they also like set me up to have reasonable expectations for this book. Like, one thing is, I've seen this book at least once on like, you know, upcoming queer YA books, and like, no, this is not queer. The author is queer, the content and the characters are not. So I could see some people being disappointed in expecting more of the same when it is something different. I've heard kind of mixed reviews coming out of it, but I'm trying to not pay too much attention to it so I can just go in and try and appreciate it for what it is. Anyway, but I also love that this matches my hanging thing here. I love purple. Anyway, there's that. Okay, so now I've got two books I borrowed from a friend of mine. One is The Warmth of Other Suns by Isabel Wilkerson, the epic story of America's Great Migration. So this is a giant thing. Unfortunately, my library does not have an audiobook of this. So, and I definitely have a preference for consuming nonfiction with audio because my brain just gets less tired. But anyway, this is like a piece of history that I really don't know anything about. But so So I borrowed that, and then I also borrowed Stamped from the Beginning by Ibram X. Kendi, The Definitive History of Racist Ideas in America. I'm about a third of the way through this right now, listening to it on audio. This is a very, very thorough history of the concept of human beings being different races and having racial hierarchy, and the language used to justify slavery, to justify all of that. So anyway, I'm part of the way through this. Okay, you know what? I'll get to those at the end. I'm forgetting about ebooks and books that I've already decluttered. So I'll get to those at the end of my monthly list. Okay, so then I have The Kingdom of Copper by S.A. Chakraborty. This is the second book in the Devabad series. I read the first one, loved it. I'm trying to hold off on reading this one at least until the end of the month, because the paperback for the third book comes out like in July. So that'll be like having evenly spaced out my reading. So I could like try to borrow it from my library or something. But I really enjoy the series. I'm currently missing my first copy because I lent it to my dad and he hasn't read it yet. But hopefully he also really enjoys it, and I look forward to getting to this one soon. And when I purchased that one, I also purchased a copy of The Order of Time by Carlo Rovelli. A nonfiction, it's a translated nonfiction, which I don't know if I've ever read a translated nonfiction. Let's see. It's nonfiction that kind of explores the physics and concepts about time and the way our brains perceive time. And this was at my favorite indie bookstore. They mostly sell new books. They occasionally have they'll have like a used section, but they're quite picky with like what used stuff they have. But I saw this one, and I had just seen Sage from Sage Reads mention this in like their favorite, it was like either like their favorite science nonfiction or like their intro to science nonfiction. So it felt, I don't know, I had just seen the video, I saw this, it was used, it felt appropriate. Anyway, cool. Let's see, and then the last book I still have is this vintage copy of The Horse and His Boy, because I have like my dad's old copies of the Chronicles of Narnia, but I don't have all the books, and this is one I was missing. I had acquired this to help slowly fill out my collection of Chronicles of Narnia. My covers are kind of all mismatched, and I kind of appreciate it, so I acquired this one. And then, okay, now I need to go through my list of books I no longer have here. So when I purchased The Horse and His Boy, I also purchased a copy of The Power by Naomi. I'll have a picture here. I read it. There were some parts that were interesting. There were some parts that felt really flat for me, and I unhauled it. Let's see. Oh, I had hauled The Lady's Handbook for Her Mysterious Illness, which is a very interesting memoir, but again, like it had like, there were some things that were great and some things that really fell flat. And then Eden's Shadow by Emmett Swan was an ebook copy I won in a Goodreads giveaway. That one I really didn't like. That one I talk about in a recent reading vlog, and all three of those books I mentioned in my last monthly wrap-up. So, okay, so that was March. Okay, here we go. Now we're getting on to April. So at the beginning of April, I finally used a Christmas gift card and ordered 4 books from Watermark Book Company. It's a little independent bookstore in a small town in Washington that I have reason to visit occasionally. So I picked up 2 fiction and 2 nonfiction. So the first one is Disfigured, on Fairy Tales, Disability, and Making Space by Amanda LeDuc. I've already read this one. I mostly read it on audiobook. I kind of sometimes read it concurrently. I really enjoyed the audiobook. This one, it talks about disability representation in fiction. It focuses on fairy tales. It branches into a couple of other things like Quasimodo, and like modern Disney interpretations, but it really, really focuses on fairy tales. So I think it's like a good primer for thinking about disability and differently abled bodies when they are represented in our media. Like, I was reading this at the same time that I was reading a copy of A Secret Garden, which, if you are familiar with the story, the character of Colin is sick and bedridden. So, like, this book kind of, I was reading it at a fortuitous time to be thinking about the choices of that story and how could it have been different. I shouldn't be giving a review. I should save that for my wrap up. But anyway, I already read this, so I want to mention it. And because, anyway. And then the other book, excuse me, phone. The other nonfiction I picked up was Disability, Visibility, First-Person Stories from the 21st Century, edited by Alice Wong. This is a compendium of stories, essays, it's nonfiction, talking about disability. I haven't read this yet, but I'm curious about how this content compares to what's in here. Like, I imagine they're going to be quite different, but shush, phone. Anyway, so I'm looking forward to reading this. Yeah. And then I picked up We Unleash the Merciless Storm by Taylor K. Mejia. This is the sequel to We Set the Dark on Fire. We Set the Dark on Fire was a book that was totally a cover by. It is also this, like, cut out papel picado design. It's fucking beautiful. It is a queer YA dystopian romance, I guess is how you would describe it, which is like a lot of buzzwords that wouldn't necessarily intrigue me, but it's also got a lot of influence from Latino countries, Latino cities, and also like some of the historical corruption and what's the word? Like dictator states, and also like gender roles and gender presentation. Anyway, so this is a sequel. So I'm looking forward to getting to this one and having these beautiful books. And then I picked up The Secret Commonwealth, The Book of Dust, Volume 2, by Philip Pullman. So I love the Golden Compass series. I had already read The Book of Dust, Volume 1, La Belle Sauvage. So this is the sequel. This one takes place when Lyra is like 19? No, at 20. So I'm super, and then Belle Sauvage. I have another copy of that, so we'll get to that. So I'm super interested to return to this world and see what has come of Lyra as an adult after the events of the Amber Spyglass. Okay, again, continuing with physical books, and then I will revisit my ebooks. So from a free library, I picked up The Book Thief by Marcos Zuzek. I have heard some people say that this is like a favorite book from their childhood. I never read it. I saw it. I think I again, sometimes like a lot of these, it's like I will hear them mentioned in a video, and then like within a day or two, I will find a copy in a free library, so that contributes to why I will impulsively pick up so many books from free libraries. So excited to get excited to see what I think of this. And then I found, this is an arc of Kingdom of Souls by Rena Barron. And I think the sequel to this book just came out fairly recently. And I think this was the first time I had seen an arc in a free library, so I'm curious, like, which of my neighbors gets arcs. Indie Next nominations do. So this is, I guess, somebody who was like reading it for judging it for some kind of awards or anything. Anyway, this was a book that was like on my TBR, and also was in this cover, just beautiful. Anyway, so I will get to this and I will be excited for it. Hurrah. So these next 3 books I purchased from the Pango Books app, which I heard about from Starla Reads. She had a sponsored video to talk about it and show how it worked. And it's basically like a Poshmark or a Mercari, specifically for books. It's a specific app for individual people selling books. And I have kind of become obsessed with it because it fills my desire to go into libraries and use bookstores and browse. But because I can wish list stuff, I don't necessarily feel pressured to like buy everything right now. And then I can also like attempt to sell books that I've decided to unhaul. I haven't sold anything yet. But anyway, so I feel like it's definitely designed for browsing. I think especially because it's so small. If you go in there and you search for a specific book, the odds are pretty low that you're going to be able to find a specific book because like the inventory is still kind of low because it's new. But I've seen quite a few people who clearly are like Book of the Month subscribers who are selling a lot of their Book of the Month copies on there. So there's definitely like new stuff on there. There's a lot of people selling textbooks on there. So if you are trying to find affordable textbooks, check it out. Anyway, so these were 3 books I found from one seller. So I decided to give it a shot. So I have The Bride Test by Helen Huang, which I just finished this month. This was one of my TBR picks for the Asian Readathon. And then there was a copy of The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern, which I've already read and I loved. And then there was this special edition copy of Book of Dust, Volume 1, La Belle Sauvage. So I unhauled my paperback copy that matches this one. And they haven't come out with a matching Secret Commonwealth cover, but I think, who is this for? This was like for, oh, and supposedly it is signed, which is, now I have 2 signed Philip Pullman books, which is exciting. So yeah, this special edition was in collaboration with some bookstore. I can't remember. I don't think it was Waterstones. Maybe it was Waterstones. Which I've heard talk that they are going to come out with a Secret Commonwealth version, so I'll keep my eye out for that. Those are 3 books that came into my life. I say that like I'm not talking about 30 books that just came into my life. Hold on. Okay, did I completely fuck up my angle? Maybe, but now you can see the piles that I will be buried with. This is another free library find, Snowflower and the Secret Fan by Lisa C. This is a historical fiction. I had just seen the Bookish Realm do her 100 must-read books, and this was one of the ones on there. And then, of course, I found it a day or 2 later in a free library, and I'm like, it was meant to be. Okay, so this was another free library find, and this was actually a book I've never heard of. This is Sleep Well, My Lady, an Emma Jean investigation by Quay Quarty. This is another ARC, and this is a private investigator thriller set in Ghana. So let's see. So anyway, because this is a book I've never heard of, I will read you the description. Oh, this is a follow-up, but I feel like most thrillers, kind of like most mysteries and like romances, you can often read them as standalones. Anyway. In the follow-up to the acclaimed series debut, The Missing American, P.I. Emma Jean investigates the death of a Ghanaian fashion icon and social media celebrity, Lady Araba. Hard-hitting talk show host Augustus Caesar has become a household name in Ghana, though plagued by rumors of lavish overspending, alcoholism, and womanizing. He's dating the imposing, beautiful Lady Araba, who leads a self-made fashion empire. Araba's religious family believes Augustus is after her money and intervenes to break them up. A few days later, just before a major runway show, Araba is found murdered in her bed. Her driver is arrested after a hasty investigation, but Araba's favorite aunt Dela has always thought Augustus Caesar was the real killer. Almost a year later, Dela approaches Emma Jeanne, who has finally started to settle in as the only female PI at her agency. To solve Lady Araba's murder, Emma must not only go on an undercover mission that dredges up trauma from her past, but navigate a long list of suspects with solid alibis. Emma quickly discovers that they are willing to lie for each other and that one may still be willing to kill. So, anyway, I mean, the setup sounds just like thriller murder mystery, but, anyway, also this cover was quite memorable. Anyway, so I'm looking forward to getting to this and reporting back if that is an author in a series to keep my eye on. A secondhand book. This is The Omnivorous Dilemma, A Natural History of 4 Meals. So there's a couple of Michael Pollan books that are on my TBR. Unfortunately, this is also another one that my library does not have an audiobook copy of. Like, this is the kind of stuff that makes me think about maybe getting a Scribd account. Because I read enough books, and I will encounter enough audiobooks I want to listen to that my library doesn't have, or the wait list is like 12 weeks long. I feel like this is kind of in the vein of We Are the Weather, which is a book I read in January? Anyway, so, nonfiction book. Interested in getting to it. Okay. Alright, and then I've got another haul from my favorite indie bookstore. I went in to try and sell some books, and they took maybe like a third of them. And I had a couple of books that I definitely wanted to get, and then I found a used one that I wanted. So I definitely wanted to get Firekeeper's Daughter by Angeline Boulley. I mean, is it kind of a cover buy? Sure. But it's been getting great reviews, and I'm trying to like dip my toes into like mystery and thriller more. And I've heard that this one is good. I am bummed that this is a printed sticker for Reese's YA Book Club. I am happy that it's getting recognized and it's, getting selected for the book clubs, but I don't give a shit about celebrity book clubs. Happy it's getting noticed. Unhappy that you have interrupted this beautiful cover design with your egotistical capitalism marketing. And then I picked up The Obelisk Gate and The Stone Sky by N.K. Jemisin. I read the 5th season. Was that in January? Friggin' loved it. I need to continue the series. I'm kind of at the point where I'm like, has it been long enough that I reread the 5th season? Or do I not reread it and just jump back into it? Am I going to remember enough? I might just like wait another month and then just read the whole series all the way through. But I finally talked myself into having all 3 books because I enjoyed the first one, and yeah. Okay. And then let's see, the last physical book I still have. This is An Acceptable Time by Madeleine L'Engle. This was a used copy. So this is book 5 in the Time Quintet by Madeleine L'Engle that starts with A Wrinkle in Time. I feel like it's not necessarily they're all like they're described as companion books, like they're all kind of like standalone stories, though I feel like because I've read the first 4, what I remember is they're standalone in the sense that you don't have to read them in chronological order, but you probably do want to read A Wrinkle in Time first, because that one I think sets up the world and this like science fiction fantasy time travel element that is consistent in all of the books. So I feel like you want to read A Wrinkle in Time first as an introduction to the world, and then you can read the other ones as is. So this was the only one I didn't have, and this is also, and that's another series where every copy I own is a different edition, and this was the only cover style that I didn't own. And I had seen a copy of A Wrinkle in Time on the Pango book app, and I was like, oh, do I buy a duplicate of a book I already own in order to have a really interesting cover that I don't have? But then I found this one, so that satisfied my very specific collector desire. Okay, let me look at my notes for ebooks and others. Let's see. Okay, so I purchased an ebook of Why Are All the Black Kids Sitting Together? I don't have the author. I will put a picture up here. This I actually bought on accident. It was on my Amazon ebook wish list, and I had a gift card. So I bought this on accident because somehow, probably like instead of clicking add to wish list, I did the one-click purchase, which it doesn't give you any kind of prompt to approve the purchase. You hit it and you've bought it. I probably could have returned it because I hadn't even installed it on my Kindle, but I'm like, you know what? This is a book that I wanted to read. I do want to read it. So there's that. So like, I don't regret it. I'm just annoyed that Amazon has made it very easy to buy things on accident. That's a different conversation. Okay, so then I acquired a copy of A Wizard of Earthsea by Ursula K. Le Guin from a free library. I will put a copy up of the edition that I found. I really appreciate the afterword in this edition. I talk about it in my last wrap-up. But because I had a full set of my childhood copies from my parents' house, I got rid of that one. And you will see those copies in a future haul. I also bought an ebook of STEM and autistic anthology. This is a collection of short essays about being autistic. I won a copy of The Intimacy Experiment from a Goodreads giveaway, and I read that one and I fucking love it. It doesn't have quite as much steamy romance as you would think from the description of one of the characters being a former sex worker, but there is still some in there. And I found the conversations around the male protagonist's religion and religious views. He's a Jewish rabbi. I found those conversations really, really interesting and not preachy, and it's not really about like conversion. It's just like religion is just a source of social knowledge with which to view the world and with which to like problem solve and deal with like relationships and stuff. It's really beautiful. Okay, anything else? That is it. Okay. I thought this was going to be a real short video. We'll see how much I can edit out because I'm at like 35 minutes. Hurrah! I hope you enjoy it. And I hope I enjoy all of these books. I will probably enjoy most of them as it goes. I hope you have a good rest of your day. I encourage you to go out into the world and be curious. I have my other social media places in the description box below if you would like to connect with me elsewhere. And yeah, I will catch you folks in my next video. Bye!